You know, I've never been very good at being told what to do. Okay, by all accounts, we are ready to rock. Welcome to all of those in the room this afternoon, and welcome to those outside the room who are with us all around the country in that ether land. We are just about to begin the commercial category, which is kindly sponsored by Canon, our friends at Canon. Thank you so much for your support there from Canon, a great company, great product. Trade show starts tomorrow, so let's all support our main sponsors when we go and look at all their wonderful products. So I've got a good lineup of judges here and no doubt a great lineup of images as well. Just as a reminder to the judges before we start, there is a judge portrait tonight, photograph tonight, and a wrap party as well apparently, and I think it's all here. So just remember that. The photograph is at 8:30 or 8:45 or something, so if you're not in bed already, make sure you're here for that. Okay, so just before we begin and get the panel on board, we're going to have a run through of the images. And just before we do that, I'm going to read out the scriptor for this category, and I'll keep it simple. The commercial category is for composite and non-composite entries, photographs intended for use in business, marketing, advertising, editorial or magazine work. This may include advertising, architecture, corporate, food, industrial, fashion and sports photography. Entries may have been commissioned or self-commissioned. Entries may include computer-generated text as long as the entry is predominantly photographic in design. Third-party and 3D rendered elements are not permitted. An entry may be presented as a series such as diptychs, triptychs, etc. So I won't read out all the things you're not allowed, we'll keep it simple as that. And let's start the run-through. And judges, obviously any exclusions you think you may have, please note them down and we'll deal with those.
Okay, while the judges are just sorting themselves out there, we've got an amazing group of judges here today. We've got Mike Langford, Johan Van Kaan, Kay Davis, Amber Griffin, Tim Lomax, Dan McGrath, Matt Palmer, Craig Turner Bullock, Catherine Kinnick and Jackie Rankin. And in no particular order, the judges that we'll have just to start off with, Jackie Rankin, Catherine Katanek, sorry. It's easy when we just have to use one word. Craig Turnip-Bullock, Matt Palmer, and Dan McGrath.
It just basically is a little MO before we start, judges. If you feel strongly about something going into a particular scoring area, use the keys, don't fence it. If you're passionate about it, use a passionate key. And just give us a thumbs up when you're all ready to go. Dan, sweet, Jack, great. Okay, let's get started. Have first print, please.
Need our little scoring boxes.
I've
Sorry?
lost my thing.
Oh, okay, let's try this for a second.
I think we're in Chrome.
Have a little crack there.
Yeah,
This one.
there we go.
Yay, nay? No, okay.
I haven't got a scoring box.
Yeah, we don't.
Sorry
have
guys,
them yet.
straight away.
No, we don't have them yet.
Jace, can you grab a techo? We just can't log a score.
They'll probably see that. Just give it.
All of them in? Yep. Well, while we wait, Dan, seeing as you're quite new to this judging gig, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What do you do? What's your thing?
Well, yeah. I've been a photographer for longer than most people have been alive here. So I've probably forgotten more than most people will ever know. And it's been my life and been my love for a long, long time. And I'm passionate about photography. Having worked in London as a rock photographer in the early days, back in 1975, photographed Freddie Mercury and Ringo, and then went off to live in Colombia and in Spain and all sorts of other places. And then eventually 23 years ago I ended up in New Zealand, and this is the country I love, and it's great. Very interesting when you actually arrive in a town where you've never lived before and you don't know anybody, and you try and get work and you don't realize that you're tripping over all these little invisible wires that connect different groups of people. And well, strangely enough, I managed to make it through it, and have enjoyed life in Whangarei ever since.
Well done. Welcome to our little clan.
Yeah, I'm the current travel photographer of the year, for the year when nobody was able to travel.
Well done. Nicely said. Welcome. Who else we got? Matthew. I keep calling you Matthew. Do you prefer Matthew or Matt? Matt. Sorry, Matt. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I actually started off in music photography as well. For about 15 years photographing various musicians. Then I moved into sports. I also had a base in graphic design as well, which I was doing at the same time to pay the bills. And these days I focus on kind of conservation-focused landscapes, or just whatever takes my eye or interest.
Thank you, Matt. So it just shows you the level of judges that we have. Some great life stories there. So it looks like we're ready to go again, judges. So score your thoughts. Okay, pretty consistent across the board to start with there. We've all got a 7 in the front of it. It's ended up at high professional standard at 74. Is the panel happy with that? Would anyone like to talk to the photographer? Matt, thank you.
Yeah, I think the photography has actually been well done here. The pattern and design makes me think of tiles and maybe some connection to naturally made tiles. However, it's not giving me a commercial message that can then go to somebody else.
Thank you, Matt. So we'll accept that score. Next print, please. Okay, mostly close together, but we have a high bronze at 78. Okay, thank you, Catherine. We do have a couple of judges in the next range up, so Catherine's going to challenge with what was your score, Catherine?
So I gave this an 80 silver. Such a simple, well-constructed image. It has a lot of mood. I get a story from those cyclists with the one on the left heading downhill, speaks to me of determination, and then the one on the right, just the fact that they're on the top of the hill there, I sort of feel that they're really going places. I think it is printed very beautifully, and I can see wide commercial use for this, so I'm only asking for a low silver, and yeah, I'd love to see it happen.
At the other end of the scale, Dan?
Thank you. If this is to promote cycling, I think they should get the cyclists a little larger in the landscape. And I'm also not keen on I feel the burnout in the upper segment is taking away from the image. I like the composition overall, but as I say, I think the cyclists maybe could be slightly more prominent in the picture.
Craig, any thoughts there?
Yeah, I think I scored it 81. I think it's deserving of a silver as well. It is beautifully printed, and I think that the wider landscape speaks to the adventure that they're on, rather than needing to see the cycles closer.
Catherine, looks like you can bring it home.
Yeah, thank you, Craig. Exactly. These guys are in a big, big wild landscape, and that has been emphasised by the scale. I am not distracted by what you describe as the burnout. Yes, it's a lighter patch, but without it, that sky would be actually quite dull. I feel like it's working well with the lines of the hills, and yeah, it's a very successful image. Let's get it to silver.
Okay, we have an original score of 78. Let's rescore, please. Good work. We have a majority of 3 and we have a score of 80. Well done. We'll accept that score. Next print, please. somebody to come. There we go. Pretty consistent scoring there, guys. It's ended up in a bronze, 76. Thank you. Panel happy with that? Jackie, you want to have a chat to the photographer?
Great subject. The longer exposure, unfortunately, has made the vegetation on the little island move too much as well, and perhaps two exposures where one was still and one's moving would have brought it into that silver distinction range even.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. We'll accept that score. Next print, please. Very even scoring there. Well done. Ended up at a very high professional standard of 74. Catherine.
Yeah, a very high professional standard image. It's not so much a critique, but I feel like the drama could have been increased a lot more. If the photographer had been in close and the horses were sort of surging towards you, you might have got more of the feeling of their terror with the helicopter coming in. It's also, unfortunately, it is quite a cluttered background that helicopter is against. No fault of the photographer, but yeah, nice work.
They might have got run over as well if they were a bit closer. Okay, thank you for that. We'll accept that score. Next print, please. That's great. We have some high levels of acceptance here, and we already have a high scoring silver, but not quite a distinction at 84, so well done. Yes, Jackie.
So I'll challenge it because I've gone to silver distinction. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm on 88, and I think there's nothing to take out of this or to change. There's a beautiful rendition of the circle that tends to make it into a dish or something that it's cooking on this sort of fish, a flathead, the detail's exquisite, the negative space is perfect. All the things were right, and it really did, maybe, yeah, it's certainly in a distinction range, I think.
Everyone's pretty enthusiastic, so let's have a listen to Craig. Okay, cool. Yep, go for it, Kat.
I gave this an 84. I guess I felt there was a little bit of a, as a print, that paper choice creates a beautiful image, but I felt that wasn't really sitting well with what I expect from the coolness and sliminess of the fish. Perhaps a bit of gloss might have helped there, but maybe I'm being a bit obvious. You'd like to talk about that?
Thank you, Matt.
I was on 83, so I thought quite a lot of the image. I would have liked to have seen just a touch more light on the face of the fish, or even lightening in post-production, just to bring it up to the same kind of values as the rest of the fish. I know that maybe you don't want to look at the face of the fish because it's not the prettiest object, but I think we're kind of past that when we're featuring the entire fish anyway.
Jackie, yeah.
Yeah, so take it away from not being a fish anymore, and it's a universe. We're looking at a starscape. It takes you other places. So without that being so obvious, it allows you to interpret in another way. It's a lovely piece of art as well. So 88, silver distinction.
All right, thank you, judges. 84 is the score. Let's rescore. Good conversation. It's now silver distinction at 86. Can we have a blank screen, please?
We're going to do a little judge change. So, Craig, you can take a bit of a break. And Amber, if you can take his place. And Catherine, if you can take a break. And have Kay in, please.
Press it, click it down. Go, yep.
Just see it instantly, feel it.
Tricky.
It's a bit brash when
You ready to go, girls? Yep, sweet. Next print, please. Okay, thank you for that. Quite close scoring, but some in one range and one in another, and we have ended up with a high bronze at 78. Jackie's ready to go.
So I scored at 83. I believe that the introduction of the yellow-orange cast at the top, multiple exposure look, really leads you in to perhaps what would be the interior of this building. It gives me heart. It adds another element that transcends the flatness of it and all the other parts that come down through the front, little leading lines. It's multi-layered and I think quite deliberately done and well executed and great print. 83.
Kay, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I really enjoyed all those qualities too, Jackie. I guess for me what's kept me out of an award range is that the photographer has the ability to control the print and the tonal range within the print a little bit more. And I felt that the bottom was quite heavy and quite dark. And being an architectural shot, I really wanted to see more detail within that lower half of the image. But aside from that, it's absolutely fantastic image.
Matt?
Yeah, I felt like the image was a little bit unbalanced. There's some of the things being highlighted in the foreground, the road markings, there's like a bit of a manhole there as well. They don't feel like they're that relevant to the building itself. So perhaps if that coloured effect, maybe there was just a block or two in the bottom and some of that roadside cut off, that would have created a more effective piece of corporate art.
So Amber, just before Jackie would you like to comment?
Yeah, I actually really enjoy this piece. I scored this an 80, and I saw all those more urban elements included down the bottom, but I just quite liked how they balanced the really graphic nature at the top. I just felt like there were so many layers included within this image that it deserved to move up to a silver.
Well, you're all quite close. So Jackie, what do you finish with?
So I guess the dark areas at the bottom, I think they needed to be dark. Otherwise it would have been too busy. And that's not where the life of this building is, which is in those top living areas perhaps. The urban landscape underneath needed to be forgotten. Those random elements down the bottom talk about humanity and the things we can't control, the manholes, and the bits of things brings humanity to it, and the imperfections of that makes it more human to me. And I really think it's still well deserving of a silver at 83.
Great argument. Thanks, Jackie. Let's rescore. Good work, panel. We have a silver at 80. We'll accept that score. Next print, please. Very close scoring, resulting in a very high professional standard of 74. Looks like the panel concurs with each other on that. Amber, would you like to talk to the photographer? Okay. Oh, well. Yeah.
I think there's a lot going on in the background of this print, and the thing that prevented it from moving into the bronze range for me was just the theatrical lighting. I think just needs to be controlled a little bit more, and also there's no detail in a lot of the dark spaces.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, we'll accept that score. Next print, please. Once again, very similar thinking, resulting in a high professional standard of 74. Panel happy with that? Matt, would you like to talk to the photographer?
Yeah, the image as it's presented so far is not easy to achieve. The photographer's done a lot of work already. Great posing of the dogs. I feel like there needed to be a stronger light source on particularly the dark dogs, and then let that light fall off onto the light ones to balance that. And we're also being pulled up to the left-hand corner at the top where that sunrise is happening, sunset, sorry.
Thank you, Matt. We'll accept that score. Next print, please. Okay, we have a high bronze at 78 with a challenge from Matt, who's in a different range. What's your score, Matt?
I'm on an 83, so a solid silver. I awarded it for this interaction of order versus disorder, and yet it's all still product, and it showcases what this product can achieve as architectural product for ceilings or architectural design. It's showcasing the art in that quite beautifully. It's showcasing, all of this light that's pouring between these giant columns that's really delicately creating a diffuse light source on the right-hand side of the image where this chaos is occurring, and there's beautiful detail throughout. So I put it up into the solid silver.
Okay, everyone else is pretty close to each other. You got anything to offer, Kay, as a representation of them?
I see what you're seeing, the juxtaposition of the shapes versus the lineal vertical lines. I guess for me, I would have almost liked to see the whole thing in black and white, because I'm seeing a very subtle warmth coming through, which to me is not quite gelling with the overall feel that I'd like to get from the image.
Anyone else like to contribute? Amber.
The thing that held me down from going up to silver was just the graduation of tone on those pillars. Seemed to have some banding in the lighter areas. Yeah, that's what kept me down in bronze.
Thank you, Amber. Matt?
Yeah, well, in terms of the banding, I also saw the same thing. However, I believe it's actually the rendering of the actual. Sorry, I'm losing words. The poles, we'll call them poles. Columns, that's better. The rendering of the actual columns is what's creating that rather than the photographer, and I don't want to penalise the photographer for the finishing work of the building. And in terms of the colour, I feel like that just that really subtle, almost monochromatic shades of colour give this dimension and give it all a feeling as well. So yeah, I'm on solid silver. We're only a couple of points away. Please consider coming up.
Okay, let's see how the argument works. Rescore, please. Just reminding everyone out there, these judges have worked their butts off for 3 solid days, and we're on the last afternoon of that, so sometimes you're allowed to get a little bit tongue-tied. Good talk. We've ended up in a silver at 80. Okay, we'll accept that score. Next print, please. Oopsie-daisy. Don't look. We'll have a judge change things.
Yeah. Well, that's what
Matt's off. Johan? Yep. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, Matt. Log yourself in, Johan.
Good idea.
Okay. Quite similar thinking, which has resulted in a silver at 82. Jackie's a little bit higher than that.
So
Jackie, help us out there. What's your score? And let's go.
So I've scored at 5 points away. Well, 87. There's so much theatre in here, and I think, total theatre. Come on, isn't it? Oh, yeah. All that staging, and I think everything, all the decisions have been right. I love that sense of the rain, and there wasn't. I couldn't fault it. Even the greeny colour cast and the expression and what was wrong. There was no wrongs here, just rights at 87.
Thank you, Jackie. Okay.
Yeah, I saw all those and I really enjoyed those too, Jackie. I guess for me, what's just held me back a little bit, and I'm still would like to be convinced to go higher, is just the believability on the expression of the guy's face. I just felt it wasn't quite there.
Yes, Johan.
This is lots of fun. I only gave it an 83. I'm very happy to come up. I'm seeing veins in his forehead. Like, there's so much expression in that forehead alone. Let alone the cry that he's making as he's leaning forward with poor Yorick. And it's great. And the theatre aspect is great. The theatre lighting. It's very well done. A lot of contradiction and great. Yep, I'm happy to come up.
Dan, I think we might hear from you now.
Yes, I marked it at 76 because I probably didn't look at it carefully enough, or I couldn't see it carefully enough. But having had a good close look up at it and having heard my colleagues' reports on it, I'm tending to point upwards towards where we're heading. And I think it's a really great promotional shot. There's a lot of strength in it. It's a strong picture.
Jackie.
It's gobsmackingly good, isn't it? You know, it gets you, and it captures your eye, and you just want to buy it. I'm on 87, and there's just the action of that second guy coming in to tackle without him falling over and getting it all right. It seems to be right. It's all the rights at 87. So
Excellent. 82 to start with. Good argument there. Well done, Jackie. We have an 87, high distinction, really. Photographer will be very happy there. We'll accept that score. Next print, please. Very similar scoring there, panel. We've ended up with a high professional standard of 74. I think we all concur there. Amber, would you like to say something to the photographer?
This is a lovely portrait of a young country girl with her chicken. Tonally, I just feel like it's a little bit flat to move into the awards range, and the hair over the eyes bothers me a little bit, as does the spot in the background.
Thank you, Amber. We'll accept that score. Next print, please. Well, we're close to each other, which has resulted in a 79. So I think we can talk this one in or out, eh? Go, Jack.
So, yeah, I'll challenge that at 83. I think a lot of really good decisions have been made here too. Lovely detail in the shadows. But I think it came down to the gesture of the woman coming through the door. Really quite believable. She's looking up. She's engaged in the environment. It intrigues me to look around it. So, yeah, that's... The detail is all right through. Technically very good, I thought, too. So, 83.
Amber?
So I really struggled with this one. I'm down on 74 professional standard because I don't see detail in anything on those two big blocks on the outside.
As a representative of the middle, Johan, would you like to contribute?
Yes, I gave it 78. I really wanted to give it go up a grade to the silver, but I felt that the lack of balance between the two doorways, just in dimensions, like the spaces are slightly bigger on the right-hand side, and where it was so possible to make them equal, they hadn't. And I felt that was an oversight.
Thank
I
you,
could be
Johan.
wrong.
Did you want to say something, Dan? No? No? So if you want to say something, just maybe raise your hand and then I know for sure you do.
I'll do that.
Thank you.
As a commercial shot, I think this is lacking a little, although I do see a great space to put type. And I think it's a shame because there's great potential in this picture that hasn't really been fulfilled. And as the photographer could have controlled it and got more light into the sides and showed the texture in the center there, it would have stood up as a photograph on its own without the potential text. Thank you.
Before you finish, Jack, Kay, what would you like to say?
Yeah, I guess for me, I mean, I was actually with Jackie on 83. I'm not too bothered by the heaviness in the foreground, purely because I think that's where your eye is actually being drawn through. And it's a very graphical, very graphic, and I had it before and I can't lost it out of my head. And I understand, and that's why it's probably not higher in terms of, I think it does have a lot of really good qualities about it. And yes, there are some flaws. The absolute symmetry is not 100% right. But that's why I have put it in the silver. I think it's been beautifully printed, and we see the layering. I think what we're looking to see is the shapes and the light within the structure, as opposed to necessarily the detail.
They're not far behind you, Jack. Have a crack.
Right. Yeah, Amber, you're right. There's no detail in those blacks and left and right. But I didn't even look there because I'm not supposed to look there. I was supposed to look through the middle. And that asymmetry is what is balancing out the figure. And that's why I liked it, as well as what Kay said.
Okay, original score of 79. So let's rescore, please.
There you go.
Well done. We have a silver at 80. Blank screen, please. And Jackie, could you leave us for a little while? And Michael, could you replace her? Well, how shall I rephrase that? Take your place. We can't replace you, Jackie. There's no replacing you, darling.
Where am I?
You can do it, Mike.
I'm looking for me. I can't find me.
Well, Michael's trying to find himself. We just thank Canon once again for sponsoring the category. Of course, there's many Canon users amongst us. There's a couple of Canon advisors trying to figure out how the computer works at the moment. So
I'm not here.
you're not there. We've been saying that for a long time.
Are you in the right category?
That can be me.
Go Judge 11 then, apparently.
Judge 11, okay.
But don't feel bad about that.
Yep, done. Okay.
It's a great number in bingo, apparently. Okay.
You're absent.
Oh, I didn't accept the last one.
You sure you weren't supposed to be
Right, before I stuff that up.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
here.
Hang on, I'm just waiting for my little end. Okay, thank you. Next print, please. Thank you for that. Fairly close to each other, and we have a bronze at 75, majority of 3. Everyone's quite close to each other, though, so maybe, Michael, would you like to talk to the photographer?
Yeah, it's an appropriate technique. It's separated the vehicle out from the background. The rendering of the flag is absolutely perfect, and that's where your eye goes to. moving into the frame instead of out of the frame is really good. So, yeah, well done.
Thank you, Michael. We'll accept that score. Next print, please. Very close scoring to each other, and we've ended up with a bronze at 75. Johan.
Yeah, a great capture. Would have liked to seen a darker base on it because your eye falls down to the bottom.
Thank you. We'll accept that score. Next print, please.
No doubting it's commercial anyway.
Correct.
Okay. We have an initial score of a good silver at 82. Well done. Michael.
I gave this 85 silver distinction. I just feel it's worth. I can challenge, can I?
Yes, you can. One was too slow and you were fast enough.
I just feel this is done absolutely perfectly for the purpose, and I think that's very important with commercial photography, is that you actually fit the brief and do it as good as you can. I think this has excelled in terms of the rendering of the fish. They are just beautifully lit and beautifully realised, and I think it's a superior communication.
Thank you, Michael. Well, there was some good support in the scoring, so we'll carry on with the chat. Dan, would you like to?
Yeah, the fish are really, really clear. The backgrounds, of course, have all been removed, so we can't see how the pictures were derived from, but they work. And I think the important thing about when you're photographing fish like this is to make them look attractive, and I think the photographer has made them look attractive, and the type works so well with it afterwards. It's obviously quite a high-class establishment, so yes, I'm hearing you, Mike. It's good.
Just before you, Kay, Johan.
Sorry, Mike. Yes, I gave it a 78, which I did. I would like to get an explanation for the fact that there's a watery background on one, and then there's ferns and not fishy things in the other backgrounds. Because we've been presented with those as pictorial elements, they are part of the story. So, yeah, if you can enlighten me, I'd be happy to be flexible.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, while Michael thinks of that, Kay, do you want to contribute?
I was trying to find an explanation.
Yes, of course you are.
I was trying to find an explanation for your comment there, but I'm not. I mean, without being able to read, the text is a little bit small, so we can't read. There's an element, but I did pick up the word native in those three ones, so which may relate to that.
Yep.
I guess why I probably didn't go higher, because I think these have been exquisitely done, and the commissioner, or the people that commission, the company that commissioned these, will be absolutely blown away with them, to be honest. The top left image is a little bit out. The water is interfered with the scale rule that's been used on the bottom right of that top left image, so it has distorted it a little bit. So for me, that's what's held it in silver distinction range.
So still a very strong score, Kay, at silver distinction. So, Judge 11.
Okay, to answer Johan's request, it doesn't matter. I do not think that the photographer has done the graphics for this. I think the photographer has offered us the photographic content that he's done, or she's done, and the graphics just show how it's been used. So I'm judging the photographic components only.
Ooh, that's not a bad little retort there. Okay, so we have an initial score of 82. Let's rescore.
Excellent.
Well done. We have the silver distinction. It's 85. Photographer will be very pleased with that argument. Thank you very much. We'll accept that score. And next print, please. One to come.
Disappeared again.
Not that same.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah, you've got the little box.
So who's missing?
We've got an average there.
Oh, yeah, we've got one now. That's good. Thank you. Very similar thinking there, guys. We've ended up with a bronze at 75. Thank you. Looks like everyone's pretty close there. So who would like? Kay.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of distortion happening within elements within the image, particularly the man and the light, the camera there. And I felt that there's areas within the image that could have been controlled in post-production that are quite distracting, and that is the gradations and everything we're seeing, and the highlights we're seeing right in the centre where your eye is actually being drawn and taken away. So I think a little bit more control in post-production would really lift this image.
Thank you, Kay. So we'll accept that score. And next print, please. very close scoring. It's resulted in a high bronze at 78. Is the panel happy with that? Okay. Johan.
Very likeable image. I just felt the dogs were a bit underprinted and a bit dark in the image. Yeah.
Thank you for that. So we'll accept that score. Next print, please. Okay, well done to the photographer. We have a silver at 80. Everyone's pretty close to each other there. We happy with that? Great. Amber, would you like to talk to the photographer?
This image is a beautiful piece of art. I love the tonal palette and the way that it's been presented. I'm slightly confused by the category choice maybe for this.
Okay, thank you for that. So we will accept that, still a silver, and we'll have a blank screen for a second, thank you. And Dan, you can have a little rest, and Tim, you can come on in and share your wisdoms with us.
Welcome.
And Kay, you can have a little rest, and Catherine, you can come in. Thank you, Tim. Tim's a new judge this year, but has been doing very well over the last couple of days. Very considered thinker. So we welcome him to the panel. And we will go next print, please. Well, interestingly, some are higher up the mountain than others, but we have a silver at 82. And I just feel like hearing you, Johan.
Thanks. I gave it an 88. First, the photographer's ability to capture the detail through all the whites so well against the sky like that. To keep the detail within the climber is also fantastic. To create the sense of, hell, he's got another mountain to climb, also in the photograph, through the use of a panoramic view, the sense of loneliness or aloneness, all very strong communications, excellent communications, in fact. I gave it an 88. Yeah.
Thank you, Johan.
What's wrong?
So, Tim, we're going to give you a turn, my friend.
I was on 78 bronze. I I think that might have been a bit harsh. One of the major things for me was it looks like the tramper, hiker, mountaineer, that person, is almost tripping over. But then I guess that adds to the story and the challenge of climbing the mountain. I'm going to come up.
Okay, who's next highest? Michael, would you like to chip into the argument?
Yeah, I think I underscored this at 83. I'm definitely going to distinction. I guess what I like most about it is the anonymity, whatever that word is, of the person who's symbolic of people in the mountains, and I think the adventure spirit is heading off into the unknown, and I find that really just incredibly well done. It's like when you're working in these sorts of environments, being creative at the same time is a big ask, and I think they've done very, very well.
Anyone else like to contribute? Okay, so where did we start? Johan.
What I appreciate most about this image is that the photographer hasn't smacked us in the face with it. They've let us gently go into it, and I think that also is another skill to be rewarded. I gave it an 88. See what you can do.
Thank you, judges. Jolly good. We have ascended that little problem, and we now have a silver with distinction at 86. Good argument there, well done. We'll accept that. And next print, please. So just calm down for a second there, Johan. Before I start this little piece of excitement, there's some people participating in the outside world who are not here, and they've asked us if the judges could speak closer to their mics so they can hear the comments a little bit more clearly. So thank you very much for that. Already this wonderful image has a silver distinction at 87, but we have a challenge from Johan. And what is your score, Johan?
93.
Thank you for that, Johan. You can begin your discourse.
What a great piece of art. What a great photograph of ambition. What a wonderful little story there about the snail that could. One day that snail will have a big house like that other thing. And then it's so beautifully presented to us, the tonality, the shaping of the frame, the wholeness of it, all contained so wonderfully. You're nearly there.
You are all nearly there, actually. There's a lot of enthusiasm for the image. Who else would like to make a comment? Catherine.
I gave this an 86. I'm happy to come up. I think just what we're also looking at here is the textural play between the shininess of the other shell and then the texture of this. We've got a shell within a shell. Also, just like to draw attention towards to the delicacy of that little thin white line around the top of the shell. It's creating an egg within an egg. We've got a shell within a shell. Really, really strong graphic image here. Great work.
Tim.
I gave this a silver distinction at 85. I agree with everything that's been said. It's an extremely beautiful print. It extremely well handled, well lit. I guess my only hesitation and why I didn't go higher into the distinction, and if Johan can answer, in the context of this category, what is it selling to us?
What is it, what, sorry?
What is it selling to us?
If I was looking for a photographer and I found the one that did this, I would employ them.
Fair enough.
Hardly any objections. You know what to do.
Okay, we have an initial score of 87.
I was going to say something, but I got interrupted.
Oh, sorry.
It was a gold, that's all.
Jolly good, 91. Could we have a blank screen, please? And Amber, could you take a little stroll? And Matt, would you like to come in? Thank you, Amber. All good there, Matt? Yep. Sweet. Next print, please. Very consistent judging across the line there. We have a bronze at 76. Looks like the panel are pretty happy with that. Seeing as you're new, Matt, well, let's warm you up, Matt.
Yeah, photographers captured the pose of the two horses really well. I think I would have liked a little bit more direction or light, which could have been offered either by the day or through your own lighting, and also a little bit of attention around the edges of the frame. There's a little distraction in the bottom left.
Thank you for those comments, Matt. We'll accept that score. Next print, please. Okay, sizzling along here. We have an original score of a very high distinct silver at 88. But as normal, Johan wishes to speak to the print.
I'm not actually going to speak to the print. I'm going to speak to the judges. What's
Thank you,
wrong with
Johan.
it? It's awesome. Good photographic term, that.
Is unbelievably, that can't be it, Johan, is that it? Okay, all right. Well, so that invites comment from perhaps Matt.
Look, I'm looking to be educated on this one. I found that there were some areas where the detail was a little bit lesser than other areas, specifically on the backs of whatever these are. It seemed like sea creatures or decorations or something like that. Only minor change in detail, but it is there. And I also felt like the composition was a little cramped. I would have liked to see them have be given a bit more space, but I'm definitely open to moving. I just want to understand more.
What's your score?
75.
Okay.
Catherine, let's see if you can help Matt with that.
I gave this an 87, and I wish I had been braver. I think there's all the detail I need there. There's a wonderful delicacy about these creatures, and I think the photographer has presented them in a really cool way with this vertical panorama. I see them as this little marching line of aliens kind of coming to get you. They're on a mission. There's wonderful symmetry here. They're creepy. They're kind of, they're on a mission. There's a lot of personality in these. It's a beautiful print, and yeah, I would love to see this go higher.
Seeing as we're working those realms, would Mike or Tim like to have a participation, or would you like to? Go ahead, Tim.
I've got
Michael,
nothing much to add, to be
Great.
honest, so I shouldn't waste your time, but I am in support of it.
Thank you. All right, Johan.
I can't explain to you why you feel that they're cramped. I do love the gentle beauty of them, and I think if they had had too much harsh detail, they would have come across as a bit more aggressive. And here, it's a very peaceful image, and you just flow up to the red. That red is great. And the colour balance is outstanding. And together, they make such a visual feast for us to rest our eyes on. And not knowing what they are doesn't really take us away from enjoying that they're there. So I've given them a 94. Yeah, we're nearly there.
Okay, let's see what nearly happens. Well done, panel. You have awarded a gold. Score of 90. Great argument, thank you. Well, discussion, not argument. Let's accept that score. Next print, please. Okay, we have a silver at 81. Well,
I'm going to leave this.
okay, great. All right, but would you like to have a comment to the photographer, Johan?
Oh, I feel this is a beautiful, graceful ballet, unfortunately interrupted by the dark element down the side.
Thank you very much. Nonetheless, silver, which is well done. Thank you to the panel for that, and we'll accept that and have a blank screen for a sec, please. And Johan, would you mind taking a seat? And Jackie, would you mind coming in? Just to remind everyone who's watching anywhere that this category always has a diverse range of topics and subject matter, so it's always a challenge to the judges to bounce from one to the other, bring their considered opinions to everything. Next print, please. Very even scoring across the board there, which has resulted in a good bronze at 77. Looks like the panel are happy with that. Jackie, would you like to comment to the photographer?
To perhaps bring it up into a higher scoring range, because everybody is enjoying the design, is to get a little bit more balance to the bottom, a bit more space or something that takes us into another realm of beyond what is it. That's all. A little bit more, something to take me further.
Okay, thank you for that, Jackie. We'll accept that score. Next print, please. Once again, pretty close scoring. It's resulted in a good bronze at 77. Matt is in a different scoring range. What did you score, Matt, and what are you thinking?
I'm on 82, and it's because I believe this image isn't about selling what you're being shown. It's about selling that this is not necessarily a good thing. It's quite a graphic depiction of commercial fishing. I don't think it's necessarily portrayed in a positive way, so if that was the intention, it might be a failure on that point. But I believe that the orange on the nets actually leads you to understand that there is a bigger catch that's on board and that this is just part of that catch. And then you see, the fish emerging from nature in a huge quantity, surrounded by the birds and other nature that are going to be affected by this activity. I definitely think that there could have been some minor technical improvements across the board, in terms of sharpness in the right areas and that kind of thing. But I'm at a low silver and rewarding an image with a message.
Jackie.
I scored at 73 because of the confusion of the message. Yes, I could see the fish coming out, but I've got this barricade of white gantry that's holding me back. The birds that were sitting on the ocean, I'm guessing they looked like that. They were quite sort of murky and losing detail. The message wasn't strong, but I'm listening.
Thank you, Jackie. Anyone else? Michael?
Yeah, I found the whole image a little bit too passive. It doesn't feel like it feels like there should be a sort of a fishing frenzy going on. The birds are all totally passive. The movement of the net's totally passive. I'm just not feeling the image.
Matt, sorry.
I actually agree with you. So I can't really talk you down from that. I would just say, look, I think the above perspective is what kind of causes some of those disconnections that you're talking about, and the lack of depth of field from shooting from that perspective is what's causing those birds to be a little bit muddied and that kind of thing. I'm not going to ask you for a silver. Consider it, but I agree with what you've also stated.
Okay, let's rescore judges. Original score 77. Stays where it is. Good argument. Well done. Thank you. We'll accept that score. Next print, please. Couple of old friends in the audience. G'day Craig, g'day Faye. Lovely to see you here. Both past presidents of our wonderful institute. 72 average. Very close scoring from each other. Catherine, do you want to say something?
This is quite a playful, creative image with a good punchy colour palette. I'm not seeing progression in the series, particularly between images 3, 4 and 5, so I'm sort of losing any sense of a message or a concept, really.
Thank you, Catherine. We'll accept that score. And next print, please. Thank you, judges. Once again, very even scoring, and we've ended up with a good professional standard of 73. Looks like you all concur on that. Let's have a look. Okay, thank you, Matt.
Yeah, I think technically it's a well-taken image. However, the horses are kind of blocked from the viewer by those long grasses and the helicopters are flying away, so I'm unsure what the direct message is meant to be.
Thank you for that. Good observation. We'll accept that score. Next print, please. Very close scoring to each other, has sneaked it into a silver, which is well done. Seems like we all agree with that. Jackie, you want to make a little comment?
Yeah, I scored at 83, and there's a real sense of, would you eat a kiwi, it says down the bottom, and they're all kind of animated and quite friendly looking, so I don't want to eat one of those little whitebaits.
That's nice. Okay, thank you for that. We'll accept that score. Next print, please.
It worked. Advertising worked.
Nothing with eyes in it, eh? Quite close scoring once again, which has resulted in a bronze at 76. But we do have somebody in the other scoring range, which is Jackie, who's enthusiastically leaping forward.
So I'm on 82, not hugely enthusiastic, but I was taken on a bit of a journey here of buildings that sort of turned it into felt like a ship with the little round circles, particularly in the back, that were that pulling me into that sense of movement. I wondered whether it was about earthquakes or it was about things. I know that there's some bright light up in that top left corner, but perhaps that's where your eye can escape to from all this movement. The colours of blues and that warmth coming through in banners, it got my eye. I was happy with it at 83, 82 actually.
Tim, would you like to make a comment?
Yeah, I was on 73 professional standard. I can appreciate the use of multiple exposure to bring movement to a stagnant building, I guess. as Jackie said, I think the bright white in the top and also the dark circles down the bottom right, there's just a lot of distracting elements for me.
Matt?
Yeah, what's been said, but also I felt like the lines led you to that awkwardly distorted kind of veranda or a deck kind of feature in the centre. Had the photographer just chopped off a lot of the bottom and let us focus on the glorious like left and right movement, it would be a much stronger image.
Thank you, Matt. Jackie, you want to
Yep.
try
No, I'll
and bring that home?
all that on board, and I sort of agree with that. But I did love the top of the image, and I gave it 82 for that. So
Okay, original score 76. Let's rescore, judges. Well done, that's taken it up 1 point. They all count in the end. So we now have a 77, bronze. Well done. We'll accept that. And according to my software here, that's the last print we have. So as an evolution of the times, and we hang in there with the times, the rest of the entrance will be a digital format. So while we wait for the for that to be all put together, we're going to make a judge change. And Tim, you can have a little wander, and Kay, you can come in. Have a stretch, judges. Stand up. Have a little breathe. Audience too, you might want to have a little dance around.
That changed everything, didn't it? Just like bang. All of a sudden it became alive. Yeah.
So it's actually not fair to the fronts.
I sort of figured that.
Good.
Honest.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Gee, that pretty jumping.
Go on, mate.
Bang.
I'll be useless in all that.
I think they've got the link wrong. Yeah, seriously. It's a white light. Although ordinarily, regardless of what sort of lights we've had in the past, your brain's colour corrected after a few minutes anyway. So I don't think it's for colour. I think it's for lack of intensity.
Because even though that light was warm, when I switched on, it's changed.
Heard a little bit about LED lights.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So depending on what lights you've got.
Yeah, well, we go away. No, they're supposed to be there. Yeah. This should be right. These should probably be directly right. Yeah.
Oh, they're fine. Yeah, but the grey.
And that's the other thing.
Gallery is kind of straight out.
In the past, we've always measured the output of the lights on the front. Have we had that reading this year? I'd be asking you a question, so we all, for the whole weekend. We can't change it now, but it's not a question that needs to be asked. Thanks. So the prints are looking flat because of the light.
Yeah, the monitor, I think, is a touch dark, like maybe 5-10%. Still, I don't know. Yeah. That's just an iMac, right? Well, I just set the brightness on. I think iMac is part of the problem. Oh, let's go. Yeah. Anyway, here you go. There's that, and it works. I'm confident that hey, I'm not turning it around for now. It's in the whole crown thing.
Just looking at that picture of all this taken years ago. It's been Mike and Nick.
I think they may have given us the wrong categories, which is clear. Just looking at the mix of what's there.
Well, that's not going to help.
No, so let's just grab.
Oh, it's family, right?
What about your own family?
Pretty good, pretty good. I haven't worked for 3 years. I've been retired for 4 years myself, so it's pretty good.
You still on the farm?
Yeah, yeah, so it's a mates on subdivided.
Yeah, that's right.
My boys are 23, 26.
oh yeah, I'm okay. Just a bottle there.
I've been done that. I've got 3
What's the session called?
It's commercial.
Oh, sorry, I grabbed it. Carried it with me.
You got a couple.
Oh, they take
Game.
Ready? Yep. Judges, could you come back to your positions, please?
Who did I come up with?
I've got the Mac.
I get confused with PCs. What are we on? 34. Oops.
Who's missing? Kay's there, Mike's there.
Judge?
The president's allowed to get a little bit dizzy now and then. So for everyone at home, this is our first digital entry. The judges still get out of their seats and look closely at the monitor for detail. The scale looks very similar to the print presentation. The lights have gone out and everyone's looking very attractive. Wow. Okay, we have a range of scores here, but they have resulted in a gold straight away at 90. And because I'm the boss and we are already up there, I think discussion is required because one of our judges has taken it into distinction. Yeah.
Okay, I
And
gave
that's
this.
Catherine.
Yeah, Catherine. I gave this 97. Holy moly! I think this is just really brilliant. I mean, the initial impact is just wow. What a wonderful play of colour and line, and repetition of the shapes. The circles throughout are a particularly strong feature for me. You've got the bullseye. Goal circle there, the basket. You've got the string of circles down on the left in the green, little black circle top left, all the half circles of the court, big one down the bottom, and then everything's kind of summed up along in that bottom strip with this wonderful little strip of colour. The colour balance in this is beautiful, and then the shadows are just giving you the sense of reality here. You know, this is an incredible graphic abstract image that has come from real life. Really impressive work. Let's take it up. Let's talk about this.
Okay, Jackie, you were the lowest of the ones that were considered in the average, so
Hello.
what was your score?
No, Kay was lower.
I'm lower.
Do you want to go to Kay?
Yes, you're lowest, but your score didn't count.
Oh,
It's an average of 4. But you may speak, of course, Kay.
you should be able to speak. I think
Well, it says an average of 4, so I assume the lowest one, which is miles away, is not included. Anyway, well, that's okay. Kay, you can go for it, and then Jackie. Go for it. Please don't feel offended.
Oh, no, I guess, yeah, it's all right. I'll talk to you later.
Because she's the past boss of all this stuff, and I'm only a newbie, so I'm sure I'll get a hand smack, but that's okay.
I
the
see
first
all
time.
this. I see all what you saw, Catherine, and I guess I'm way down. Other than the perspective, I'm just struggling to see what the photographer has presented to us. I'm struggling with the heavy shadows on the right-hand side and the top right corner. But aside from that, I do love the graphical nature of it. But I just felt those elements are really detracting from the overall feeling I'm getting from the image overall.
Matt, what was your score, mate?
Yeah, I was on 92. I'd say the photographer's bringing us a Mondrian-esque image that's been taken within the real world, and that is the real world that has vegetation and poles and all these kind of other things that are interrupting it. What I really think is fantastic about this image is both how perfect it is, but how undermined it is. That the basket, the net on the basket, as you can tell from the shadow, is actually kind of ruined and being pulled off. And it just is so typical of these kind of places that the basketball hoop is never in good repair, no matter how beautiful the landscape is around it. So I found that to be a humorous element. There is one thing that I'm almost reluctant to bring up, and that there is a sliver of possible 1 pixel of orange in the bottom left corner that I find a little distracting, that the photographer probably thought they had cut out, and should have been. I'm not penalising it too harshly for that, but it is a very minute distraction, and I only bring it up because we're talking gold distinction.
Mike, you're very supportive of the image as well. Would you like to say something?
I am. I actually gave it 88. Fully prepared to go to gold. Distinction's another element, but gold, it's refreshing, it's original, it's visually exciting, all of the things Catherine said, and yeah, let's keep going with it.
Jackie?
So, yeah, coming back to my 83, and I'm in a little bit of support to Kay in that what has the photographer brought to it, but beside that perspective, because what we're seeing is being created by another artist, an architect of colour, who's created all the colour and shape, I would think, of the basketball places, but I might be wrong on that, so I can't assume that. I was thinking that this was a real place, but it might not be, so I have to take that into account. So, yeah, listening.
Catherine?
I think the photographer has brought to us the choice of the composition here. They've brought to us the choice of the time of day to shoot. The shadows are creating wonderful diagonal lines that are adding to the composition. The vegetation is nicely contained within its own boxes. The vegetation is a real selling point for me. I don't see that as a distraction at all. This is real world stuff, as is the basketball hoop. Thank you, Matt, for that. The only negative point that has been raised that I can see and can concede to is the 1 pixel wide tiny sliver of orange in the left-hand corner, and that is totally insufficient to persuade me to budge from my gold distinction. If we look at the scoring criteria, enduring quality, we've absolutely got that here. I think we've got exceptional mastery, we've got Mondrian, high level of originality. I think this is exceptional visual communication. Yeah, I would really, really like to see this come higher. It's a wonderful image.
Well said. So let's go back to the scoring judges. Original score 90. Well done. So on the Olympic analogy, this person can step on the dais at the top there and they have a 92 gold. Excellent discussion. We'll accept that score. Next print, please. A little variety of scoring, but close to each other, relatively speaking. We have an end silver at 82, which is well done. Matt, sorry, what would you like to say? I normally shorten everyone's name. I don't know why I'm lengthening yours.
Well, this is a challenge rather than a comment.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. You're in a different scoring range. You're welcome to.
I'm on 87 at the moment. What I'm recognising is that every one of these women has a different hairstyle, and I'm not giving that to the photographer. I don't think the photographer's done the hair, but they've captured this scene where they've lit everyone very beautifully. It's very flattering light. They've got different characters in all of these different positions. The photographer has been the one that's had to position them all, which is a mammoth task if you ever have to do this kind of thing. Everyone has their place and their space. Everyone looks interested in the camera, whether that's been done in one take or most likely by taking them in groups. And I think there is an aspect of story there. I can't quite work out what the story is, but I think it could be that there's a hairstylist that's done all of these styles, or it could be that there's some sort of weird version of The Bachelor. Who has any idea? But I just think that the incredible amount of work and craft has gone into this image. I've scored it just into the silver distinctions, so have another look.
Okay. Jackie.
Well, you know, I'm there at 83. I'm listening to all that, and I did go in there looking for the X Factor, and that was the old lady behind the redhead. And I enjoyed it. This image made me look around every face and engage with each of them, and that was really successful in itself. And the one guy, of course. But yeah.
Nice succinct comment. Thank you. Kay, what would you like to say?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's been well produced and well posed and everything like that. But I guess I'm looking for something more. I have seen this sort of thing before, so to me, I'm not seeing something. I guess creative in terms of what I'm looking at. Yeah, well posed, well lit, I guess the photographer's communicating with each of the subjects really nicely, but in terms of imagination or anything, I'm just not seeing that.
Anyone else before I write a reply? Go for it, Matt. Oh, sorry, Michael.
Yeah, look, I've got a problem with the guy, the only guy in the shot, and if you look at his skin tone, especially the hand, it's grey, and it's just out of kilter with the rest of it. Also, his jacket is brighter than the skin tone. There's things that aren't matching, and I'm sort of looking at a few imperfections within the overall scheme of things that just keep me out of going too high.
Matt.
Yeah, Mike, this is an advertisement for fake tanning. So I completely understand that the skin tones will be darker because everybody here has got fake tan all over the place except on their grey hands, which are giving away their natural skin colour. So I'm not going to fault them for the work of the beautician. If you shoot enough weddings, you see this kind of thing, as I'm sure you have. In terms of the creativity and imagination, some forms of creativity and imagination aren't all that exciting. Sometimes it just is bloody hard work trying to figure out how to fit this many people into the scene, how they're going to bend their limbs, and who's going to be fitting in where. I think there's a great deal of creativity in just trying to realise where all of these people are going to be jigsawed together within this scene. And it might not be in-your-face kind of creativity, but there's certainly creativity there in terms of just making the scene work at all. I'm just in silver distinction, not in gold. Consider coming up.
Excellent argument, Matt. Let's rescore judges. And we have an increase there of a couple of points to 84. So that's excellent score. Well done, photographer. And normally one woman's enough to make a man go grey, but that many would definitely make him go grey. So next print, please. I know I'm going to get into trouble for that. Okay, we have an average score of a good solid bronze at 77. Mike is feeling a little bit more enthusiastic than that though, and he's in a different scoring range. What was your score, Mike?
I gave this 84. I actually think it's superior in its communication. I think the lighting is exquisite, and placement of the animal in the forest is absolutely perfect. The lighting in the background is sympathetic with the light on the dog. More than that, though, is the choice of the location to put this animal, because it's sympathetic with the animal's colourings. That's not blending, but it's sympathetic, and I find all those choices are all part of the picture, and well done to the photographer for doing that.
Thank you, Mike. Everyone else is pretty close to what they're each thinking. Anyone else like to contribute? Matt?
I've got to give Mike something to work with on the other end. I agreed with all of those things and felt that it was highly professional. What I struggled a little bit with was the cropping and what the usability case for it would be with that crop. I felt like it was very tight to the top of the head. I could see it working as potentially maybe a website banner or something like that, where you need that really panoramic kind of view, but I kind of struggled then with the center placement, where you'd put text and that kind of thing. So I appreciate the craft in it, but I was just a little bit stuck on the crop.
Anyone else? Michael?
Yeah, look, I totally understand you taking a few points off, but that's a lot of points. Look, I seriously, I think you should be considering the craft that it's visible. We can't assume anything in terms of usage. It's just a matter of looking at and appreciating what's been offered to us.
That's a good finish, Mike. Thank you. Okay, original score 77. Let's rescore. Well done, judges. We have an 80. Okay, I will accept that. Next print, please. While the judges are looking, let's just thank Canon once again for sponsoring this category. Appreciate it very much. Very similar reaction to each other, guys. It's resulted in a high professional standard of 74. Looks like the panel are happy with that. Okay. Oh, yeah? Okay, then. Catherine, you're welcome to challenge that. What's your score?
Do you argue with the president?
I won't.
78. I gave this a bronze. I think this is really a well seen and constructed image with a lot of interesting use of line, shape, negative space and little pops of colour. So I'm not demanding high things of it, but I think it's been well considered. The composition with that line, the diagonal line going straight up into that corner, you know, it's really well placed and executed, and yeah, I'd love to talk about it a bit more.
Awesome. Kay?
Yeah, I almost feel that the yellow is distracting more than contributing to the overall image. And I think the image itself, in terms of post-production, needs a lot more refinement. There's also quite a number of dust spots, sensor spots on the image that need to be looked at too. So I think just attention to those details would allow the image to come higher.
Well, you're in support of that bronze too, Matt. What would you like to say?
I was until I saw more dust spots. Sorry, but I would say that from here I'm looking at the silver distinction, and unfortunately when you get a bit closer there are those technical issues that bring you down. But yeah, I would commend the photographer on the composition and the creativity. It's just unfortunate that the craft is letting it down a little bit.
Prez.
Yeah, just want to say that for me, the yellow is almost but not quite balanced by the little bit of red on the left-hand side. You know, the yellow is heavier, but I feel there is a balance that the photographer has introduced there. Yes, there are some dust spots. I wasn't going to mention that, but you know, I am only I was only asking for bronze. I am only asking for bronze.
Okay, 74 is the score. Let's rescore judges. Okay, well, that's actually gone down one. So people aren't really scared of you at all, Catherine. So thank you for that, though. That's a great discourse, and the photographer will have learnt from that. Thank you very much. We'll accept that score. And next image, please. Oh, hang on. Just we'll do a little quick change first, sorry. Mike, you can take a little seat, and Craig, you can join the panel. Thanks for your patience, Craig. You've been sitting there for a while. We all good? You're in there, Craigo?
Yep.
Sweet. That is the next image. Yep. It's almost as if you're holding hands on this one, judges. It's averaged out at 75, which is a bronze. Is everyone happy with that? Craig, would you like to talk to the photographer?
Yeah, it's a really nice use of light and shade, really nice gradients, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I would have cropped off the top a little bit more.
Thank you for that. It's an award at a bronze, so thank you. Good on you, photographer. We'll accept that image and score. And next image, please. Nice little audience for this time of the day. Thank you for being here. Well done. Everyone's got an 8 in front of their score, which has resulted in an average of 83. However, Matt has raised his hand and will challenge.
Yeah, we're not too far away. This is such a strong portrait of a strong woman. You know, there's so much glamour in it. There's a beautiful, looks like possibly one light that she's moving into, and she's moving out of the frame and not waiting for anyone. The black and white tonality has been done beautifully. It's just a stunning portrait. If you were flicking through a magazine and you saw this, you would have to take a moment to have a look at what on earth was going on or what this was saying.
Thank you, Matt. Craig?
Yeah, I scored at 80. I think I would have maybe gone a little bit higher, but I feel that position of the arm is a little bit awkward, but I agree with everything else, Matt, like the lighting in the face and the glamour, it's really beautiful.
Catherine?
I gave this 84 and I'm happy to come up. I think this photographer has deliberately broken a few rules here by having that arm going out of the frame and also having her face so close to the edge of the frame. However, I think it is creating, as Matt said, that sense of her surging through the image and going places. Her expression is really, really looking to the future, looking, she's on a mission. I also think that the placement of the subject has made a really big feature of her hair, and I feel like this is almost, a hairdressing shot as much as it is a portrait of the woman, and in terms of commercial use, I think that's probably quite strong. If it's a glamour shot, it's also working. Beautiful textures in the hair and the dress and the skin, beautiful lighting. You're happy to come up to silver distinction.
Nicely said. Anyone else? Matt?
Yeah, I see what you're saying about the arm. I do agree with Kat that I think that's because she is flying through this frame. She's not there being photographed. She's got places to be, and she's got something behind her that she's carrying, and she's not waiting for anybody. That's why her arm's out there. I think in terms of these kind of images, they can often feel so contrived, and I feel like that positioning of the arm actually helps us avoid that. And really give it that movement through the frame. So consider coming up to silver distinction.
Excellent support of the image, Matt. Thank you for that. Let's rescore. Well done. We now have a silver distinction at 86. We'll accept that score. Next image, please. Oops, sorry, little judge change. Catherine, the scary one. Johan, the loud one. Well, not so loud, just very persuasive.
Water.
I'll just click in and scroll down a bunch.
You're in? Okay, next image, please. That's a very high score, Johan. You may need to change it.
Is that 2020?
It's 187 out of 100. Okay, well done. There's a little range of scores there, so some discussion will ensue, I'm sure. We have a silver, though, which is well done to the photographer at 81. And Johan, you are in a different scoring range, so would you like to challenge?
Yeah.
Okay.
I gave it an 87. Strong graphical image. We don't need to understand what it is. We can just enjoy it for what it is, as in a design. Could be used for many, many, many things. So it's quite versatile. Yeah, I think the photographer's done a great job. There's, has an eye-like quality in almost in a technology way, but it's not. Yeah, I gave it an 87. Yeah.
Thank you. Jackie?
I gave it 73. I thought maybe it was a photograph of a light fitting looking straight up into the light, and then I didn't go anywhere beyond that. That that point you're making is just that point. It's the dot. It's just, I get there and I can see a really good technique. I should probably bring it into bronze. So higher bronze, but I'm not sure about higher silver.
Thank you, Jackie. Kay.
Yeah, I've put it in 83, and I feel for me, that's where it sits. Something I've sort of picked up on is the black circle around that comes from these softer, beautiful, soft palettes. It's right at the bottom. There's one of the black lines is out of alignment with the spoke that essentially is then radiating out of the from that centre area. So, there's elements that could still be controlled a little bit better within this.
Thank you, Kay. Who else? Craig, you're supporting the image quite well there.
Yeah, I like it for the graphic qualities, and I thought, again, it seemed like an eye as well. I don't have really anything extra to add on it, but I gave it 84. I really like it.
Cool. Yes, Matt.
Yeah, just to add on, so Johan has a chance to talk about it if he wants. I found that a lot of the circles kind of had little interrupts or kind of chips out of them in terms of the coloration. If I was trying to be too smart, I might say that they're moon phases or something like that. So maybe you can talk about that. Or I felt like it was just an added imperfection.
Right of reply, sir.
It's not necessarily a photograph of an object. It's for me, it's a design. I've already got 3 people who've gotten higher than the 81. Yeah, I feel it could just a couple of points up would be really nice. It's enjoyable to look at. We can criticise the hell out of it, but that would stop it from being a gold. Yeah, I've given it 87. See what you can do.
Thank you, judges. We score. It all counts. It's a very strong silver at 84. Well done. Clapping's getting very muted. A little bit more energy, please. Accept the score. Next image. Thank you.
Where's the chocolate?
I know it's getting late, but you know. Judges, just while you consider your scores, we do need to speed it up a little bit. So be concise with your comments, please. Pretty close to each other there, and it's ended up in a bronze at 75. Everyone happy with that? Who'd like to comment for the... Thank you, Craig.
I think the photographer's done a great job here. This is not an easy subject to photograph with the lighting conditions that they're under, but I think there are some things that can be controlled a little bit better, like the smeared hands on the glass and maybe the bright highlights on the foliage in the middle there.
Thank you, Craig. We'll accept that score. Next image, please. Very close scoring there. We have a bronze at 75. Thank you. Everyone happy there? Kay, would you like to speak to the author or to the photographer?
Yeah, I mean, it's a clever, I guess, technique that's been used to, promote this, I guess, construction site is what it's all about. I'm picking. But there's there's quite a bit of sort of haloing around the globe shape, and also the heaviness in the blacks is very distracting.
Thank you. So we'll accept that score, and next image, please. Okay, we have a bronze at 77. And we have Craig in a different scoring range. What's your score, Craig? And what have you got to say?
So I scored this 83. I think the tonal range in this is beautiful. I really love the dimensions we have in here. It feels like if anybody's seen the movie Labyrinth, when they're walking around and the walls are moving, and it feels like that to me. So it's got that dimensionality, and I think that it definitely deserves to come up a bit higher than a bronze.
Everyone else is pretty similar to each other. Anyone want to make a comment? Yes, Matt?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the geometry of this image, and the dark sky, I think, really highlights what could have been a darker building material, but now showcases it in the light. I've held back a little bit by the attention to detail on the right-hand edge. There's just a little line of a pixel or two there that needed to be trimmed off, and also not sure about the highlight on that edge, whether it's being held just or not, but I put it into high bronze.
Thank you, Matt. Craig?
Okay. A few more points would be awesome. I'm not sure how many points you want to take off for a couple of pixels down one side, but yeah, find a couple more points if you can.
Okay, we have a 77 average. Well done, you've taken that 1 point to 78. So we will accept that. And we will have a judge change, thank you. So Matt, you can have a little rest, and Dan, you can come on in. Thank you, Dan. Next image. Craig. Okay, similar reaction to each other, and we have a bronze at 75. Jackie, what would you like to say?
Yeah, I mean, great technique and the right atmosphere. I think it would have been improved with the bottom cropped off a little bit or made it a little bit darker, so it's more emphasising the lights coming through the top.
Thank you, Jackie. We'll accept that score. Next image, please. It's hard to beat a cute dog. We're instantly in silver at 81. Everyone's pretty close to each other there. They all happy? Dan, what would you like to say? Oh, hang on. I'll tell you what. Sorry, Dan. Beg your pardon. But we've got a dog person down the bottom there, so it would be criminal not to include his comment. Thank you.
This is a really nice structured image. I love the little Easter egg right in the middle of the kitten in the box, but it's a bit too dark. I'd love to see a bit more light on that face so you can see the eyes a bit more clearly peering out.
Thank you, Craig. Appreciate that. We'll accept that score, 81. Great score. Thank you. And we'll next print, please. So we have 8s everywhere, and it's resulted in a silver at 82. Does that mean action, Johan? No. Okay, that's great. Would you like to talk to the author then, Johan?
Well, I actually really enjoy this image. I'm not sure how you would make it better, but if you had better highlight control
Oh, the little highlight in the
on the
first,
bottom of the
first
first image,
frame,
yeah.
that's it.
That would make it a much more enjoyable series.
Did you want to? Did you want to say something, Jack, or are you all good? Okay, sweet as.
I said it all for you.
Thank you for those comments.
Let's go on with it.
We'll accept that score. Next image, please. Thanks, judges. Sorry to be bossy, but we are back on track. Once again, we've got 8s in front of everyone's score, which has resulted in a high silver at the moment at 84. However, we do have somebody in the next scoring range, in fact 2 people, but Craig will take up the challenge.
This is toned so beautifully, and this dance in the middle, it is perfectly positioned in the frame. It's very arachnoid. There's like 8 limbs coming out from these 2 people who are joined together in this dance. And yeah, I think we could go a little bit better than a silver up into distinction range just for the story in here.
Kay, I'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, I've put it in the silver range. I guess if someone can maybe elaborate for me a little bit on the lighting on the subjects, particularly the guy's arm and is not consistent with where the direction of the light is coming from behind the subjects. Yeah, so I see a little bit of an inconsistency there.
Yes, Johan.
Just to add to what you're concerned about, I really like it, and I'm very happy to come up if I can get really good explanations. Also, the clarity of the image of the subjects doesn't sit with the lack of clarity in the environment. Like if you look at the depth where they are in the picture versus
Jackie, maybe you can help them with that.
I'm not sure I can, but I did score at 87, and I think it was because of the startling geometry and that idea of a creature in the forest, and that's why it's stunning like that. I did score 87. I'm going to keep staying there.
Well, there's many ways a human can respond, so that's all good. Craig, what have you got to say to finish
Okay,
up?
I think I don't see an issue with the darkness of the arm or the figures. I find that enhances the kind of forest creature feeling of this, and I think the depth is pretty much there for me. I think we're talking about a silver distinction, not a gold. We've got a really good story here, great geometry. Just a few more points, please.
So it's scored 84 already, guys, so let's rescore. Well done. Distinction, 85. We'll accept that score. No? Yep. Judge Shane? No. Okay, next image, please. Well, we have a range here that has resulted in a 79. So already the photographer has done well, but perhaps might do better if there's a little challenge, perhaps, or not.
Yeah, I'll
Yes,
change it, yep.
go.
So I gave it 84. This precision in the focusing on the bird's eye with the wings spread is perfect, and it's beautifully toned. I love the crop. You get a sense of these birds all being together in this kind of wispy, windy environment. Yeah, so I think silver for this one.
Jack, you're at the other end.
73, being that I think we're way too far away from that subject, and there's an interaction with another bird that's looking backwards, but then I get lost. It took me a long time to find that. I think there was a stronger image in a closer crop, but a closer crop would have cut out some of the other birds, and I understand that wouldn't have worked, but that's why it's in 73. I don't think it quite worked.
You're in the middle, Johan.
I've got nothing to add.
Cool. Kay, you're supporting the image, so what do you...
Yeah, I'm supporting the image, and I'm also on 84. I immediately saw the two bird, the interaction between the two birds, and all these other birds ignoring it. If we'd cropped in closer, we would have lost the sense of that whole flock, everyone ignoring these two. But also another nugget I find in the image is the little black sheep sitting right on his lonesome, or her lonesome, whichever it is, out the back. I think it's just a lovely, wonderful narrative of these seagulls. I assume that's what they are.
Turns.
Terns,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, Craig.
Yeah, well, we're going to need to rescore it anyway, so let's bring it into silver.
We shall see. And we shall see. So there's an 80 there at a silver. Okay, we'll accept that score. And we'll have a judge change, please. And Jackie, you can take a little rest. And Amber, you may come in. Thank you for your patience. Most judges are always itching to be on the panel, so they show great patience to be waiting in the wings for their turn over the many hours that we are here. Okay, next image, please. Okay, very similar scoring has resulted in a bronze at 76. Dan, would you like to... Oh, Dan, yeah, no.
Strong picture, good use of geometrical forms, and the building is really, really beautifully positioned right in the centre of the picture, and the symmetry is wonderful. I just think I would like to have seen a little bit more in the very central part there. That would have just set it off nicely.
Thank you, Dan. We'll accept that score. Bronze, well done. And we'll look at the next image. That's great. There's 4 8s out of 5, which has resulted in a silver at 82. Well done to the photographer. We do have somebody in the next range, though. Thank you, Amber.
I scored this image in 86. I think it is incredibly beautiful. I adore the colour palette, and I think that she's been so professionally and gracefully styled. I just think it's a really strong example of a beautiful commercial shot. So,
Thank you, Amber. Kay, you were looking pretty keen.
Yeah, I guess I scored it in the silver range. I'm a little bit distracted by the top, the positioning, the fingers on the top hand, a little bit claw-like. There's also quite a bit of greyness in the finger, one of her fingers, a little finger up there, and in her under her arm. So I'm just, other than that, it's a stunning image.
Everyone happy? Okay, Amber?
I'm sorry, I agree with you. So go for it.
Don't be sorry. It's all good. Okay, let's rescore. Stays the same at 82. Thank you. Accept that. Next image, please. Well, there's 4 8s in there and one very close to that, which has resulted in a silver distinction at 85. Everyone's pretty close, so we'll accept that, yeah? Okay, who would like to comment to the photographer? Okay, go hard.
I'm not sure what I can do to improve the image, but I'm just really enjoying the shapes and then being drawn into the image. As you get closer and closer into the centre of the image, you get more and more texture being presented to you. And I think the layering on layering has been beautifully created and crafted.
Everyone happy with that? Great. Well done, author. Author. I've been told off so many times. Photographer. Well done. That is a silver distinction. We'll accept that. And next image, please. Starting to fall over my own tongue. Okay, once again, 4 out of 5 8s in front of these scores, which has resulted in a silver at 82. Well done. Johan, would you like to comment to the photographer?
Sure. What an enjoyable image. The only thing that I was distracted by was the detailing around the large light well at the top.
Thank you. We'll accept that score. And next image, please. Oh, we'll do a little judge change. That's Craig. You can have a little rest. And thank you, Mike. You can come on in. All good, Mike?
All good.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next image, please.
Thanks. Are you good?
Got it.
Okay, very similar scoring to each other. We have a 73, high professional standard. Everybody happy with that? Michael, would you like to make a comment?
Yeah, I actually saw this as a very high standard of professional practice, and that there was nothing more creative brought to it, so I think it's got what it deserved, really.
Thank you. We'll accept that. Next image, please. Okay, a little range within a range, as it were, which has resulted in a 79. So high bronze. Johan, what do you have to add there? What's your score, mate?
I gave an 83. Let's talk about this. Not far to get to the next range. Very lovable image. The thing that lifts it a little bit higher is that little quirk of the head on the middle dog, and it just makes you laugh. You know, it just makes you chuckle, and it brings you in and says, you know, we're okay. You know. I gave it an 83. The moment was absolutely right when the photographer took that photograph. Yeah.
Dan, how do you feel about the little dogs?
A little rough.
Nice, mate. We need something at this time of the night.
Oh, they're a nice bunch of dogs, and it didn't really strike me as a very strong picture. I tell you, the background I find wishy-washy, and the plants in front of it don't add anything to the dogs. The dogs are great, and I would like to see them bigger in the picture, in my mind, and then I'd be happier.
Amber.
I also scored this an 83. I think for the character and the posing of the dogs, I just want to pick them up and snuggle them, and I just think that they have so much character and they're just adorable. What I think that the background adds to this picture is the warm tones found in the sky and also sprinkled throughout the foreground, kind of cohesively bring the whole image together. So that's why I lifted it into the silver range.
Cool. Johan? I just noticed something else as well. So here I am, and on the left-hand side, you've got this I'm the boss dog, and then on the other side, you've got the I'm listening okay dog, and in the middle, you've got the I'm just here and I'm just happy. And I think it's great. This is quite a bit of personality coming through just in their feet. So, yeah, I've given an 83. We're not asking for moonbeams. We're just asking something that begins with an 8.
And we're very close to that on 79, so let's rescore.
Did I mark that up?
Dan, yep. Thank you. We now have a silver at 82. We'll accept that. Next image, please. Very even scoring there, resulting in a professional standard of 73. Looks like everyone concurs there. Would anyone like to make a comment? Amber, thank you.
I think that this could be improved by showing some more detail in the bride's dress, and also just with the posing, it would be nice to see a little more of the bride's face.
Thank you very much. We'll accept that score. And next image, please. Actually, while we do that, because Johan's in the blocks, we'll swap Amber for Catherine Katanak, please. Revered Presidente.
Sitting next to you, I'm scared. She's gonna beat me up.
You've got to be severely committed to this institute to take that role on. All right, let's go. Okay, very close thinking there. It's resulted in a professional standard of 72. Lots of nodding. Johan, would you like to make a comment for the photographer?
I like the irony of this, the simplicity. It's 10% red, but it's just lacking a really good story. It's lacking something like that. Yeah. It's a bit flat. Yeah.
Thank you, Johan. We'll accept that score. Next image, please. Okay, we have an average of 72.
No.
Sorry, what have I done? Oh, I beg your pardon.
You haven't cleared us.
Oh, you might be right there. Oop. Can't even hit the box now. Here we go. Sorry about that. Yeah. All right.
We're 57.
What's happened there? Everyone looks all right, but somebody might have... I'm going to clear everyone and we're going to do it again.
Oh, you've got a number there.
Okay.
Sorry, I cleared my own when you said that.
That looks better, doesn't it? Yep. Thank you. Oop. Oop. Jumping back and forth. This looks okay. It's staying. Okay, that's great. We have a silver at 80.
Is that taking into account my score has disappeared? I can see the results, but I can't see my score.
Untick the box again.
And you're right. We can't see your score. So we've got Dan, we've got Kay, we've got... Yeah, that's right. We've got Richard in there. That's you, Catherine. So
Richard. That's bizarre. How did that happen?
It's because you're very
No,
close.
Can you just delete out of that because you've actually entered under your own name as well?
Oh.
I have tried
You've
deleting
gone
it
back
out
to
of, yeah,
Richard
but
again.
I've tried deleting it out of Richard, but it keeps jumping back to it. If you can
There's a lot of people saying that these days.
I'll say, yeah. Go now.
Hang on a minute. Yep,
And you're back on your own tab.
yep.
I've got nothing showing at all now. Am I?
Into your score.
I can get into my score now.
Go for it, Catherine. Thank you. And it's sticking, so that's good. So we have an average of a silver at 80, which is great. Everyone's pretty close to each other. It looks like you're all pretty happy with that. Michael, would you like to say anything to the photographer?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, fantastic lighting. Really like it. But I would have liked to have seen a bit more movement with the background red cloth. It's just looking a little static. And I think a little movement would give it more dynamism.
You've picked some hard words to say tonight, Mike. Dynamisms. There's a lot of isms in there. Okay, we'll accept that score. That's great. It's a silver. And before we change the image, could Kay step out for Tim, please? We all good? Thank you. Next image, please. Okay, Dan. Matt, could you jump in just for a sec for Dan? Is that what's happening?
For who?
Is that just for that image, Dan? Yep. Yep. Thank you, Matt. Very consistent scoring there, resulting in a 72. So everyone seems pretty happy with that. Catherine, would you like to comment on the image for the photographer?
Cool graphic shapes here. I wasn't getting a great deal of story, and I felt it was also a little bit bright for the subject matter.
Thank you, Catherine. We'll accept that score. Next image, please. Thank you, Matt. Okay, we already have a high bronze, close to a silver at 78. We have a little bit of enthusiasm from a couple of the judges in the next range. Catherine, what was your score, sweet? What have you got to say?
I gave this an 83. Such a clean, clean image, clean series, fantastic colour, muted colour palette, and sort of play on the shapes and the compositions. I'm not sure what the commercial use of it would be. I'm assuming there is one. You sort of go 3, 4, and then almost 2 because of the way the photographer has the perspective the image is taken on the last one. So I'm sort of getting this. I'm jumping around with the numbers as well. I'd just like to talk about it and hear some other people's thoughts.
Dan, what are yours?
These are some sort of duct, I believe. Extractors of some sort, ducts on the roof. I think somebody's having fun with them, and it's quite jolly, but I don't see any commercial application in that. just leaves me a little cold. I scored 74 for this one.
Thank you, Dan. Johan?
Yes, I gave it an 81. I'm happy for it to get a silver. I felt the stronger images were the outside two, and the one in the middle was more like a rock between the two, I think. Yeah, I gave it an 81.
Thank you, Johan. Yes, Tim?
I gave this image a 77 bronze. I can appreciate the tonal range throughout the triptych. I do question whether the triptych made the image stronger, and just composition-wise, we read left to right, and to me the vents are going right to left, so I feel like in some ways it does make you go left to right and then back right to left, but at the starting image I almost want to go left from the starting image. So yeah, I'm listening, I guess.
Catherine?
Yeah, Dan, I don't know that we need to particularly fully understand the commercial application of this. I think, they're a product. We can probably assume that there is one. I think you're right that the central image is a rock that's got, I think it's the anchoring point that's providing the balance and it's different with the blacks in there. I'm quite happy with the progression of the series, the way they come together at the end. I feel I'm not bouncing left to right myself. Yeah, I'd like to see this as the low silver, thanks.
Okay, let's rescore. We have a 78 at the moment. So the giggling is because we're on 79, which means it's in or out, so you know what to do next. Okay, that remains on 79, a very high bronze, so well done to the photographer. And before we change the image, can we change a couple of judges as well? Johan, you can have a rest. Dan, you can have a rest. In comes Jackie, in comes Matt. My bad. Here we go. Next image, please.
That's weird. There you go, and tab.
Sorry, Dol, what's that?
Just went out of... Now I'll be right.
Okay, very similar scoring, and it's resulted in a high professional standard of 73. Looks like everyone's pretty happy with that. Matt, would you like to say something to the photographer?
Yeah, very professional image of this house, possibly for sale or something like that. I found visually there was a little bit of a dull dead space where the door is. Maybe if there had been a door light or something like that, you can talk to the architect about fixing that. But there's just that space of kind of lifelessness in between all of the vibrancy.
Thank you, Matt. We'll accept that score. Next image, please. Well, well, well. So we have some very high scores here, which have resulted in an 89. So we'll clap for the start. But obviously there's a couple of people in the next scoring range. Would they like to talk to the print? Matt? No one better to try and do that.
Yeah, not only do you see the camera artistry here, but it's capturing a different form of artistry, and it's really communicating that flow and movement and shape to the viewer. Both of the dancers are giving a great performance in this shoot. The athleticism on display is amazing. They've got the woman is on point with her toes while bending that far back. I'm not awarding points for athleticism, but that's pretty incredible to capture in this photograph. And compositionally, the kind of ribbon or graphic element that's connecting the two, going from hand to hand, is really framing both of them quite beautifully. I think if you saw this in your catalogue for what dance things are coming up, or you saw this in a magazine or a giant on a poster or a billboard or anything, you would stop and have a look at it. It's fantastic.
Thank you, Matt. Good intro. Jackie, you've scored well, but a few points away from the others.
Yeah, I scored at 84. I had a little problem with a really bright area on the chest of the female dancer, very, very bright, and it almost makes her chin poke out quite a lot too. There's quite an angle to that, and the poking out of the body, the rib cage there, I just it didn't wasn't in harmony with the flowing nature of the background that's come together. It sort of felt like the figures were sitting on top of the background, apart from it, and maybe that's deliberate. So I'm listening to those things on gold. That surreality of the two units coming together to make one single whole, are they really connecting enough? Maybe a vignette or a darkening to hold it together. But that's just me thinking about that, and I'm listening to everyone else.
Before we go to Catherine, Michael, if you're in the middle, sort of.
Yeah, look, I'm prepared to go up to gold. It's a matter of which gold at this point, because I think it's superb. The only criticism I think I would have from my own viewpoint would be I would like to see a darker background in the top left, just to balance everything else out. But apart from that, it's definitely gold.
Yes, Tim.
I was at 87 silver distinction. I'm still listening whether or not to go to gold. It's an absolutely stunning picture that I can see being used to advertise a ballet show. It's got great movement, great connection. I guess it's possibly me being nitpicky, but my eye struggles as I go straight to the foot with the highlights. And just, I guess, another point would be the male's gaze almost goes over the woman as opposed to connecting directly down to her. But yeah, amazing image.
Well, we're very close. So, Matt.
Oh, you want to speak?
Oh, sorry, Catherine.
So I gave this a 93. Stunning imagery, almost perfect. I am not bothered at all by that, the lightness on the left. I think that draws me into the image and is beautifully balanced by the slight darkness on the right. That gives that female dancer some pop. Again, also I hadn't noticed the brightness of the chest, and I'm not really seeing that as an issue. The bump with her ribs, that's anatomy. She is grounded sufficiently with a shadow, and there's a hint of a sense of space here, but at the same time there's a hint of a sense of abstraction, and I think that works because they are so ethereal and they've just got this gorgeous backdrop to set them off. The flow is beautiful, the positioning is beautiful. It's a stunning image that, as you said, Matt, could be used in so many commercial applications that might not have been used. Somebody said that. Really, really strong work. Yeah, definitely gold. Possibly distinction. I mean, I can't really hold it back for that foot. I'm going to ramble too much here, but the gaze, she's not looking at him either. They are performers. They're both doing their own thing in the performance, but they're super connected by the shapes. They don't need to be looking at each other, I don't think.
You're allowed to get emotive on a good score. Matthew. Matt.
Yeah, there was a few things to talk about there, but mostly positive. One thing was the darkening of the background. I think the darkening of the bottom right of the background is probably where you're kind of feeling like it should be, and that works really well because the female performer has that white dress on to stand out from that background. However, if we brought those same colour values up to the top left, we might start competing with the dark uniform that the male is wearing. So I feel like the light up there is appropriate, even if I am partial to a dark background myself. In terms of the rib cage, if you see that happen to me, please call an ambulance. But for the athlete, this just shows off their incredible prowess. Even if it looks uncomfortable to us, there's still a lot of grace in the legs and especially the hand posing throughout this image. All of the hands are doing their job. In terms of the connection, I can see what you mean by him looking past her, but I feel like that's what the impression of the eyelids and the hair on that is giving us. But I think if you look really closely, his eyes are facing this way, but his eye pupils are kind of looking down. And I'm not saying if you look close enough you'll see his pupils, but that's the kind of feeling that I'm getting, that he's looking downwards while holding that head pose. So I think that's probably all of the little tiny details that we were discussing, and we're discussing tiny details because, as Mike said, maybe we're talking gold distinction. Up to you. I'm happy on gold, and I think come join me.
Great discussion. Let's rescore. We squeezed in there at 92. Well done. We'll accept that. Next image, please. Okay, quick scoring, well done. We have a bronze at 75, but we have an automatic challenge from Michael. What's your score, Mike?
I gave this 86. I'm sort of looking at this as being almost a whole bunch of different photographs within a photograph. And within each of those squares in the centre there is a complete photograph. When they join together, they don't feel as if they've been manufactured. They feel as if they've been found, and I find that absolutely brilliant.
Thank you, Michael. Jackie?
Yeah, I like what you say, Mike. At 73 I was, though. I probably really like what's happening in frame 1, 3, and 7. Maybe I would have taken out a couple to make it a little bit less complicated, but I can see the merit in what you say.
Matt?
Yeah, I also like how you're viewing this, Mike. How I was viewing it as a commercial piece was, after school activities, your children won't escape because you have this very solid net there. And I felt that was a little bit obstructive to perhaps the open positivity of, sports and participation and that kind of thing. But perhaps I'll just enjoy it more visually and put that aside a little.
Michael?
Yeah, okay, there's been no negative comments, which is a good start. If you look at the construction of the architecture in the background, it's been really well contained within the framing. The net in the foreground is symbolic of all the sports that are being played in this pavilion. And if you look at each of the different segments, there's a different sport happening on there. So I think if it's advertising a venue and what can happen in the venue with instructors, etc., this is a great communication, very strong, very original So I think it's superior in its communication.
Thanks, Mike. Let's rescore. We have a bronze at 75 thus far. Okay, we're in review scenario at 79, so you know what to do. Almost unanimous. It stays where it is at 79. So I'll accept that. Next image, please. Lots of sevens, and that's resulted in a bronze at 75. All very close to each other. Who we got? Tim, would you like to comment?
Yeah, really love the pose of the model there. The lighting's great, the handling of the print is great. Just a few distracting elements. The stairway cutting into her bust and also the label on her stockings really kept on pulling my eye away.
Thank you very much, Tim. So we'll accept that. Next image, please. Full house of eights, resulting in a high silver at 84. We do have someone in the next scoring range if they want to have a go at that. That's Catherine.
Yeah, I gave this an 88, and I'd love to see it come to a silver distinction. Wonderful graphic elements here. Bright light used well. The bright sun creates such a wonderful shape from the highlights, and then that aeroplane coming almost exactly down that line there, the little pop from the yellow. It looks like a tapestry or a painting that this aeroplane is on. I know that was existing there, but I think the photographer has really strengthened the art nature of this print through their composition, and the choice of the time of day with the shadow of the aeroplane really makes it pop from that background. So you've got a commercial aeroplane shot that is also fine art, which is really an achievement that I would like to see celebrated.
Thank you, Catherine. Everyone's pretty keen on it. Matt.
Yeah, I felt it was quite strong too. It almost felt like a little bit of an organism and the organism of the airport. I am visually distracted a little bit by the top right and top left. The top right being the lighter coloured dirt, and then the top left being some lines that are right on the edge of frame and the lighter road in that area. Some selective darkening, I feel, that would have really minimised those distractions and made us focus on the aircraft and the airport, which is great.
Thank you. Who's closest to you? Tim.
Yeah, I gave this an 84 silver. I was nearly in the distinction range there. I agree with what Matt said there, and I do appreciate the story of this, especially in these times. I feel like this plane is coming home, and it might not be going out for a little while. Just a third element that kind of distracts me, but also could be a benefit, is just the bottom left corner. There's the grey spot on the road coming inwards, while the other side is fully brown. Yeah, I'm listening.
Before we go back to you, Catherine, Michael, what would you like to say? Anything? No. Okay. Catherine.
This is reality. The photographer couldn't do anything about the grey. I think it just reminds us that this isn't just an artwork, that this is actually real life. Same with the top left and right. Maybe they could have burned in the top right. This is why maybe it's not a gold. There's art within the art. I think, as I mentioned, tapestry, the yellow makes me think of stitches around this. And I forgot to mention that lovely little image in the centre that, everything is pointing to. And the wonderful little array of objects within that dark circle is actually in itself a really cool image. I'm not actually asking for... Oh, my mic's just gone off.
Oh, you just... We all have. We've all just disappeared. Oh, well. I've got a loud voice.
Will they be able to hear us still? Will it still go on the live stream or not?
We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that they'll hear anything on...
No.
Testing.
We've all died.
I was so on the roll.
You're just about to bring it home.
And it was like, no.
Turn that off.
Shut it down. She's going on for too long.
How to shut someone up.
And on the second to last
Test.
one too.
Gurney had to get
Thank you.
through.
So testing, yep. Okay, I'm trying not to take that personally. I know it's going on a little bit. But yes, I was just saying about the wonderful Easter egg at the bottom there, and I was saying I'm not actually asking you for gold. So those flaws that so-called flaws you found are absolutely not sufficient to stop this going to silver distinction.
Rescore. Well done. We have a silver distinction at 86. I'll accept that. Next image, please. Awesome. So we have a silver distinction at 86 with a couple of people even at that level in the next scoring range, the highest of which is our esteemed leader, Catherine.
Okay, I'm on a roll here. Try not to hog the microphone, but yeah, straight to gold. I haven't seen anything quite like this before. Fantastic colour palette, its shapes. This is like a cartoony sort of drawing, but it's photography. The restrained use of the dark elements, the way they've just kept everything really flat and two-dimensional, but we know it's a building. We've got the glass balustrade in there. So cartoony, so interesting. Texture in the top right, shapes, the little thin lines. Your eye just goes around and around this really original, creative, innovative photography.
Thank you, Catherine. At sort of furthest away point is Mike.
Yeah, I gave this 81. I actually feel the whole image is tilting to the right, not just in terms of the angle, but also in terms of information. the left-hand side, I'm sort of finding a bit empty. I agree with you about the colour palette, the tone, the printing, everything else is absolutely amazing, but I'm just a bit distracted by that left-hand side and the tilt.
Okay, someone else to support the print. Jackie.
Yeah, I scored it 90, just scraped it into that gold area. The pane, the things that bring me to that point beyond what Catherine has said, is the pane of glass, the second one in, is that lighter tone that's reflecting something else in that room, and then the window up the top on the right. It made it a dreamlike quality, and this photograph with all these colours, I felt it was unique. That's one of those things for gold, unique, and I can feel it as being an artwork that could sit on a wall. It doesn't have to be architecturally straight. I think probably that little tilt actually gives it a bit of humanity. So I'm happy on gold.
So seeing as a couple of people are asking for gold, is anyone else willing to contribute? Matt?
Yeah, I felt I had seen similar architectural images before, but however with nowhere near this kind of colour palette, and that's why I took it into silver. Maybe I was a little bit shy on silver. I feel like there's a little bit of lacking in integrity in the line on the left-hand edge of the pane of glass. However, how much am I going to take off it for that? Maybe I'll come up a bit.
Thank you, Matt. Anyone else? Tim?
Yeah, I was on 82 silver. I appreciate everything that's been brought about the tonal range of this image. It is beautiful. You can dance around it. I do appreciate how you can ping pong, for lack of a better word, between the white and the bottom right to the left pane, and then up into the right corner. I guess it's feeling a bit flat for me, so I don't know if I can come to gold, but I'm willing to come up.
Thanks, Tim. Catherine?
Thank you, Jackie. I think you've well answered Mike's concern about the left-hand side. I totally agree. The reflection on that pane of glass is your balance and your tones to your right. It's breathing room over there, but it's balanced, even though it's tipping. And yeah, I have no issues with most of the detail being on the right. It's, super well balanced. What was I going to say? Tim, the flatness is part of what's, it's a big part of what's making this so successful, the abstraction that the photographer has achieved here. As Matt said, colour palette's really different. It's just superb gold.
Well said, El Presidente. Let's rescore. Well done, finishing on a 90. We'll obviously accept that. And because I've got a microphone and because I can, I'd like to thank someone in the room who's very quiet and unassuming, but someone who has guided us through some pretty tough times and very strange times, and has shown really innovative leadership, amazing communication, and not only guiding us through these tough times, but has added to our numbers. And so, Catherine, on behalf of us, I'd like to thank you for your leadership and your character. Thank you.
Thank you so much, all of you. That means so much to me.
It's a pleasure. Well, guys, thank you for sitting with us, and that was a great category and very well judged. Great panel, and we're there. Yay. So I'm assuming someone's going to be chosen to judge category. And thank you so much once again to Canon for sponsoring this one, and we appreciate your product, and I'm sure all our members will be supporting you in the next couple of days in the trade show. So thanks everyone for being here, and it's been wonderful working with you. Yeah. Cheers.